Welcome back. I'm Mrs. Reichelt, and the next video we're going to talk about are the innate defense system. So the innate body defense is the nonspecific defense system. So they provide for mechanical barriers to pathogens such as basically skin coverings and surfaces. So intact skin, just making sure that your skin doesn't have like an open lesion actually acts as a barrier. So your skin is a barrier, and then the mucous membranes, basically this is going to be like your membranes in your ear, in your nose, and your mouth, and any kind of opening. You have mucous membranes there that help to protect your body as well. You also have specialized human cells that are the innate body defense system, and then different chemicals that are produced by the body, like sebum, remember sweat, and that sort of thing from first trimester. That is the chemical stuff. So here's a pretty good diagram that basically goes over the different types of the barriers of the first line of defense. So you have intact skin, things like the acid mantle, keratin, the mucous membranes include mucus, nasal hair, cilia, gastric juice. I forgot to mention that. The acid mantle of the vagina, the lacrimal secretion of your tears and saliva. So all of these act as the first line of defense. Skin and mucous membranes act as a physical barrier to foreign materials. They also have a protective secretion, so the pH of the skin is acidic. Because the pH of your skin is acidic, it helps to inhibit bacterial growth. Sebum, which is a secretion from your skin, is toxic to bacteria, so it'll kill bacteria. And then vaginal secretions are very acidic as well. This helps to prevent a yeast infection for a female. Another example here are the stomach mucosa. Your stomach secretes hydrochloric acid, or HCl. This HCl has protein digesting enzymes which help to get rid of any foreign material or bacteria. Then saliva, or your spit, so that's saliva, and then lacrimal fluid are your tears. They contain lysozymes. If you remember what a lysosome is, they digest cellular parts. So a lysozyme basically does the same thing. It's a type of enzyme that helps to destroy bacteria. And then mucus traps microorganisms that are in digestive and respiratory pathways. Okay, so now we're in the cells and chemicals of the second line of defense. Okay, so these are going to be things like phagocytes, natural killer cells, inflammation, antimicrobial proteins, as well as fever. And we'll talk about each of them a little bit more specifically here. So a phagocyte, these are going to be cells such as neutrophils and macrophages, so very specific types of white blood cells. They are going to engulf the foreign material into a vacuole, and then the enzymes from the lysosomes will digest that. So basically, this is what it looks like from a really zoomed in electron microscope view. But basically, the cartoon picture I think is a pretty easy one to identify. So basically, if this is the pathogen, you're going to have a neutrophil or some sort of macrophage that is going to engulf it. Okay, so endocytosis occurs. Specifically, you'll have a phagocytosis because it's a big material. So it'll ingest it, and then you have lysosomes and other cell parts that are going to then open a little space around it. The lysosomes then are going to start to break it apart. So I'm trying to draw that it's broken apart here, and then it'll break it into small pieces. It'll break up that pathogen, and then it'll go through exocytosis to get rid of it. So that's kind of a cool function there. So a couple other are natural killer cells. Basically, these can lyse or disintegrate or dissolve a cell, and they can kill some cancer cells. They also can destroy virus-infected cells. I'm not going to touch too much on the virus-infected cells until a little bit later, but basically that is what a natural killer cell will do. And then still the second line of defense, I think this is a really important slide. The reason is because I feel like a lot of students miss this on a test. So inflammation is triggered when your body tissues are injured. There are 4 indicators that are included in inflammation. They are redness, heat, swelling, and pain. Notice that fever is not a part of inflammation. That's not to say that you can't have inflammation and a fever. You can have both at the same time, but a fever is not an indicator of inflammation. They're two separate things. So these result in a chain of events which leads to protection and healing. So the major functions of inflammation is that it helps to prevent and spread damaging agents. It also gets rid of and disposes of cell debris and pathogens through phagocytosis, and it sets the stage for repair. So even though if you, I don't know, twist your ankle and it becomes inflamed, it might hurt. It's actually doing that for a reason. It's trying to cause redness and heat and swelling and pain to the area to help localize that area and then hopefully heal you a little bit quicker. So this picture basically is trying to show you that if you were to step on a nail or something, you're going to have inflammation that's going to occur. So as you step on a nail, your inflammation chemicals that are going to become activated. This will result in a positive chemotaxis. This basically is just your body's way of telling other cells that there's some damage there. So then what's going to happen after that is, I guess, first of all, you're going to have neutrophils. Once you get this inflammation, you're going to have neutrophils that are going to enter the area. They're going to diffuse up into the area where there's pain and redness and swelling, and then a positive chemotaxis will ultimately occur in that it'll localize this area to help you heal and to help that infection that there might be something nasty on the end of that nail to not continue to spread through your body. A little bit more about the second line of defense. Phagocytosis, you have neutrophils that are going to move around and help clean up damaged cells or pathogens. Monocytes are going to become macrophages. They also are going to help the cleanup process. Then you have antimicrobial proteins. They help to protect against microorganisms. They hinder reproduction of the microorganisms as well. They make it so it's very difficult for them to continue their cell division. Then you have some complement proteins that are also part of the second line of defense. These are made up of at least 20 plasma proteins. When they're activated, they're going to encounter and attach to different cells. The purpose of these is that they help to damage the foreign material. They also release vasodilators and chemotaxis chemicals, which help to destroy foreign material as well. Okay, a little bit more. You have interferons. These are basically proteins that are secreted by virus-infected cells. And what happens is they try to bind to your healthy cell surfaces, which interfere with the ability of the virus to multiply. So they're going to be proteins that attach to a virus to make it so you can't go through cell division. Then you have fever, which is a different part, so we're kind of in a new section. You have abnormally high body temperatures. The hypothalamus is your heat regulating center, and it can be reset by the pyrogens, which is secreted by white blood cells. These high temperatures will help to inhibit the release of iron and zinc. I would say that's a big one to know. And fever also increases the speed and the rate of tissue repair. Please be aware that if your fever is a little bit too high, it's not going to help you and you're going to need to go to the doctor, but a low-grade fever is a really healthy and important part of body healing. So this is, again, just kind of a summary of the second line of defense. I showed you the first one. So you have things like the phagocytes, natural killer cells, inflammation, the antimicrobial chemicals, and fever. Notice that inflammation and fever are two different parts. So I hope you have found that helpful.